The United States has launched military strikes yet again against Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, violating the ceasefire. It just happened moments ago. Let me repeat, the United States military has just targeted Iran in yet another military strike. The United States military is confirming that they just targeted numerous sites in Iran, and they are saying that this was purely defensive, that this was defensive in nature, even though they were attacking Iran. Let's talk about what went down. So 3 loud explosions were heard east of the Strait of Hormuz coastal city of Bandar Abbas about 1:30 a.m. local time in Iran. Then we heard Iranian air defense activated for several minutes. U.S. Air Force E-3G AWACS, a P-8A Poseidon tanker, and fighter jets were seen active over the Persian Gulf during this period of time. Then we heard an official statement from the United States military confirming that the U.S. carried out, quote, a defensive operation in Bandar Abbas, saying that the U.S. will act to safeguard its regional interest. And it said this should not affect the ceasefire. We felt threatened. Now, earlier you learned that, and we talked about Iran's IRGC shot down a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone on Monday, with the foreign ministry declaring Iran will not leave any new aggression unanswered. So we will see what happens next here. This is how it was being reported on CBS News. The U.S. military carried out another round of strikes on Iran, which they say was defensive. A senior U.S. official says Iran fired 4 one-way drones at a U.S. commercial ship. The U.S. military says that then shot down the drones and struck another Iranian drone launching unit on the ground before it could launch. MB Ghalibaf, Iran's parliament leader, through a spokesperson, put out the following strategic assessment: maintaining the risk of reclosing the Strait of Hormuz and restriking the infrastructure of U.S. allied countries in the region will be the primary factor in Iran's control of conditions in the coming weeks. In other words, Iran saying, should we start striking some of the other countries in the region, as Iran's been working on a bilateral basis with these Arab nations, working to do deals with them directly, as Donald Trump was in the White House today talking about how he will blow up Oman. That was Donald Trump's latest threat. He would blow up Oman, and Trump was demanding that all Arab nations join in alliances with Israel and join the Abraham Accords, even though most Arab nations say they're never going to do that until Palestine is recognized in East Jerusalem as its capital by Israel. And those were the threats that Donald Trump made today. And Trump was like, maybe this guy over here, Hegseth, he loves war. Maybe he will just finish you off. And by the way, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Qatar, Pakistan, you owe us to become allies with Israel. You owe it to us. I was watching that this morning. I was like, what the heck are we watching? Meanwhile, Iran's head of their Parliament National Security Council, Abraham Azizi, put out the following statement as well. Iran will not back down from its red lines, such as the right to enrichment and enriched uranium, management of the Strait of Hormuz, and the lifting of sanctions in the face of Trump's rhetoric. Everyone knows that Trump, in order to save himself from his strategic deadlock, resorts to the tool of threats one day and begs for an agreement in the next. Now, as the United States military has just targeted Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, once again in the area of Bandar Abbas, Israel has also launched massive attacks on the city of Tyre in southern Lebanon. We saw mass evacuations in this southern city of Lebanon earlier today, and Israel is just leveling this city on the ground. As I'm sure you're all aware from watching our coverage, one of Iran's red lines for negotiations is that there be a ceasefire in Lebanon, not just a ceasefire in Iran and not just a ceasefire there, but also with the Houthis in Yemen and the Iranian-backed Iraqi militia groups, actually not just a ceasefire, but permanent security guarantees for all of these areas and all of these regions. So we've seen this escalation by Israel in the past 48 hours, 72 hours, when it appeared a deal was very close to happening. I want to go to what people were saying on the ground in Iran as well before the United States military strikes just took place. But I want to share with you right now, just to remind you, Donald Trump's threats against Oman, Iran's neighbor, where they both jointly control the Strait of Hormuz now. Trump threatens to blow up Oman while sitting next to Rubio and Hegseth. Let's just watch this one more time. Let's play this clip.
Mr. President, Iran wants control of the Strait of Hormuz. Would you accept a short-term deal that allows Iran and Oman to control the strait? And would they have to open it immediately, or would you be open to that happening over a period of time?
No, the strait's going to be open to everybody.
And who would control it?
It's international waters. Nobody's going to control it. We're going to watch over it. We'll watch over it, but nobody's going to control it. That's part of the negotiation that we have. They would like to control it. Nobody's going to control it. It's international waters, and Oman will behave just like everybody else, so we'll have to blow them up. They understand that. They'll be fine.
I've definitely noticed that as I've gotten older, even a totally normal night out can throw me off the next morning. I'm not even talking about going crazy either. Just dinner, a couple drinks with friends, home at a reasonable hour, drinking water, doing everything, right. And somehow I'd still wake up feeling foggy and sluggish the next day. That's why I started taking Cheers Restore. I gotta say, the difference the next morning really caught me off guard in a good way. I slept better, felt way more normal, and just had a lot more energy and motivation the next day. And what's cool is you just take it after your last drink or before bed, and it works while you sleep. Cheers says that you can feel at least 50% better or your money back. The DHM helps support your brain while you sleep, and the cysteine helps your liver process alcohol's toxic byproducts more efficiently. They've sold over 50 million doses. They're backed by doctors and PhDs, and you can even find Cheers at Target, CVS, and Walgreens now. Take Cheers Restore after your last drink or before going to bed and wake up feeling at least 50% better or your money back. For a limited time, our listeners are getting 20% off their entire order by using code MIDAS at cheershealth.com. Just head to cheershealth.com and use code MIDAS for 20% off. That's MEIDAS. After you purchase, they will ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
Then Donald Trump says the man to my left, referring to Hegseth, will finish Iran off if they don't make a deal with me, to which Iran is not intimidated at all. Here, play this clip.
State of the talks with Iran, I guess if it were a football field, what yard line would you be on?
Well, I think we're doing very well. I think they're starting to give us the things that they have to give us. And if they do, that's great. And if they won't, then the man on my left is going to finish them off.
And then Donald Trump just fell asleep while Hegseth was talking. Let's play this clip.
So whether it's their Navy that's at the bottom of the Persian Gulf, their Air Force, their air defenses, or their defense industry.
And then Donald Trump says, all of these Arab nations, they owe us. They owe us to become allies with Israel. So I may not even do a deal with Iran unless the Arab nations become allies with Israel. So you went into this war because Netanyahu told you to go into this war when there was a deal in principle. And now you're saying the only way you get out is if the Arab nations enter into the Abraham Accords, which none of them said they want to do until there's a Palestinian state established and recognized by Israel. Here, play this clip.
I would like to have the countries we were talking about with Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and the others, we'd like to have them immediately join and Steve Witkoff is working on that with Jared and some others, but would like to have them join the Abraham Accords. It'll be historic if they do it. And I think they owe that to us, to be honest. I think because that really would be a tremendous sign. And I think those countries owe it to us.
Now, here's what we were hearing earlier from local reports. The Faytux News Network had people on the ground. Here's what they heard about these explosions being heard. Time, 1:33 a.m. local time. 4 explosion sounds come one after another just now in Bandar Abbas. Then they're speaking with each other. Hello, Mr. Vahid, just now 3 explosion sounds. Bandar Abbas at 1:33. Just now, three explosions are sounding. Confirmed over there. That's what was going on over there. One more statement recently being posted by MB Ghalibaf, Iran's parliament leader's kind of proxy spokesperson, who says, "We are facing a scenario of the greatest existential clash in which occupiers' military machine will break before what Hezbollah has been longing for since the beginning of the battle. The most likely scenario for the coming phase, American diplomacy will continue to stall and maneuver. As Senator Cory Booker noted, Trump's approach has strengthened Iran's position. Meanwhile, the Lebanese battlefield, this sector and its surroundings, will witness the fiercest battles. We should not be surprised by the sheer scale of destruction that Israeli aviation will inflict on these southern villages to present a facade of victory to its public. However, in return, the world must prepare for an Israeli military demographic shock. The death toll of the occupation army will multiply dramatically, and scenes of burning will become a daily occurrence. Even more dangerous in the environment and its terrain, rigged with deep ambushes, may result in Israeli captives falling into the grip of the resistance. This is the scenario that will turn the negotiating tables upside down, forcing Trump and Netanyahu to halt the war on the terms of the victorious axis." So with those statements coming out from MB Ghalibaf, we now learn about these strikes taking place by the United States military in Bandar Abbas region, which you see on the map right there. Here's what Reuters is reporting. The U.S. military has carried out new strikes in Iran targeting military sites that officials believe posed a threat to U.S. forces and commercial maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, a U.S. official told Reuters on Wednesday. The official, who spoke on condition of anonymity, said the U.S. military has also intercepted and shot down multiple Iranian drones that posed a similar threat. Meanwhile, a representative of the supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khomeini, said the following: "Negotiators," to Iranian negotiators, "know that you represent a victorious nation. The enemy's plan is to pit us against each other. During the war, we could have carried out heavier actions against America in the region, but because the people of the Middle East would suffer, the leadership did not agree." So the question right now, as we hear from MB Ghalibaf's spokesperson, is, will they now launch these strikes, or will they try to continue to not escalate despite these U.S. Strikes taking place here? Reza Nasri said something interesting. The fact that Trump has threatened to blow up Oman, a GCC member state, only confirms that the security model most Arab countries have long relied on, which consists of outsourcing their security to the United States through the establishment of American military bases, is deeply defective at its core. In reality, this was never genuine security partnership, but a form of soft takeover that has steadily eroded their independence and sovereignty. This arrangement was built on a false narrative and a mistaken threat assessment that portrayed Iran as the main danger to the region. The truth is, the primary actors threatening regional security are the United States and Israel. Attempting to revive the same model after the war would be of profound historical mistake by Arab leaders, one that future generations are unlikely to forgive. I reported earlier how the leader of Oman, working further with the leadership of Iran right now in the Strait of Hormuz, furthering their relationships. And we have seen Iranian leaders speaking with, for example, leaders in Pakistan, Foreign Minister Aragchi speaking with President Erdogan of Turkey. We've seen a lot of bilateral conversations while Donald Trump has spent his time threatening the Arab nations. You need to join the Abraham Accords, become allies with Israel, or else there will be constant war going on. Abdullah Saleh of Saudi Arabia says, regarding all of Trump's demands that Saudi Arabia become part of the Abraham Accords, He goes, we're surprised by such rhetoric directed at Saudi Arabia. This is not the approach for which American diplomacy is known, but rather seems more like Netanyahu speaking from the White House, talking about the kingdom joining the Abraham Accords as if it were a mandatory directive, does not reflect a language of respect between nations, but rather a mindset that seeks to usurp sovereign decision-making. Has Washington begun to lose its compass in the region? I think they lost its compass in the region a long time ago. Also losing its munition stockpiles. The AP reporting earlier today what we previously reported and others have as well. A new analysis says that the U.S. may need 3 to 5 years to rebuild key missile stockpiles heavily used in the Iran war, raising concerns about the readiness for a possible conflict with China. The report says supplies of Tomahawk cruise missiles, Patriot interceptors, and THAAD systems were heavily depleted. Even with increased defense spending under Trump, rebuilding inventories will take years because production capacity is limited. Estimated recovery timelines: Tomahawk missiles 2030, THAAD interceptors late 2029, Patriot missiles mid 2029. So as the Trump regime is out there talking about restarting this war, or Donald Trump's doing these threats and, pretending there's a ceasefire when it's not the case, Americans have basically run out of munitions. Finally, should also be noted what the Telegraph talked about earlier today, that Iran says it will only sign a peace deal with the U.S. if $24 billion in frozen Iranian assets are released. Tehran wants $12 billion up front, the other $12 billion in 60 days, because they believe if the United States doesn't unfreeze our money, we don't trust them at all. We know that they're going to continue down this path. And so if you want to show a sign of good faith, unfreeze 12 billion, then you can unfreeze another 12 billion in 60 days. Then we'll open up the Strait of Hormuz. But now with these latest military strikes, the question and the issue is what MB Ghalibaf's proxies have released in the statement, which is, at this point, what does Iran do in response? Iran has been working with Arab nations, and Iran's way to retaliate against the U.S. would be to strike those nations. So Iran's balancing that in terms of what their response is going to be. So we will keep you posted every step of the way, folks, but things, of course, escalating. There isn't a ceasefire taking place. There's a war going on, and the Trump regime right now, continuing to show, I think, frankly, how weak and cowardly and pathetic Donald Trump is, because, he wants to seem like a tough guy, strike here, strike there, and just kind of continue to kick the can down the road, which means the American people are suffering right now, and the world is suffering right now as a result of this putrid regime, this putrid Trump regime. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.